Hey guys, Samantha White here, and today I am going to be taking you all through how I make my cleansing grains, which I use as face wash. I've mentioned these cleansing grains in a couple videos. I mentioned them in my skincare routine video, which I did about 8 months ago, which I recently watched back before I made this video, and it has changed a little bit. So at some point I'll have to do a full skincare routine update, but not today. It's not what this video is. So that's gonna happen in the future, but it's not happening now. I also mentioned the cleansing grains that I use in my shower routine video, which I did more recently. That was a few months ago. 2 months ago? I have no, it was more than 4 months ago maybe? Do I have dog hair on my lips? Maybe. So I've mentioned it in a couple videos, and every time I mention it, and by every time I mean the 2 times that I have mentioned it, I have gotten people asking how I make it and for the recipe. Now, the recipe that I got is from Rosemary Gladstar. It's from her book, Recipes for Vibrant Health, I believe. I really like using these grains. They seem to make my face not as dry as it sometimes can be prone to being. My skin is, I guess combination is what it would be called, because it gets very dried out easily, but it also is very oily. So because I've been asked how I make these cleansing grains, and because I was making them anyway, so that I have them, I figured I'll just film it. 2 birds. I'm being so productive today. So let's get right into it, and when I say right into it, I obviously mean let's get into it after this horrendously long rambly intro is over, because why can't I just do things quicker? I don't know, have lots to say. I talk a lot. So to start off with, let's go through the ingredients. The ingredients are clay. It calls for white clay. I think you can use any type of clay. I believe the clay I have in there is bentonite clay, which, before you say anything, I've been told you're not supposed to have metal anywhere near it. For some reason, it loses some of its magical properties or something. I'm not really sure. I have a metal lid on that. So let's all get that out of the way real early on. So there's clay, almond, oats, lavender, and rose petals. So you'll notice that all of these ingredients are going to be finely ground. Now I use my food processor to grind up all of these ingredients. I buy them not pre-ground in the bulk section, or at least that's where I had bought them previously, and I just grind them myself. So all of these just get ground until they're, you know, fine. So we have 1/4 cup almonds. Now I wanted to just use up all the ingredients I have lying around, and I happen to have all of these ingredients, so I used all the almonds I had, which ended up being 2/3 cup, not a 1/4. Then there's 1 cup oats, finely ground, again in the food processor. I didn't have a full cup, I only had about 2/3 cup. I think that those probably balance out, though I didn't do the math on it, so maybe they don't. Next is 1/8 cup lavender flowers. Now this I actually had about a 1/4 cup of, I just used all of them. And then there's 1/8 cup rose petals, finely ground. I actually like a lot of rose petals in mine anyway. I think it makes it smell really good. And sometimes I don't even grind up all of the rose petals. I just throw some in at the end because I think it looks really pretty. This time I ground them all up, and I actually had some rose buds, like dried rose buds, that I threw in as well. If you're gonna be using rose petals and rose buds, I would definitely suggest grinding up the rose buds separately, because they take a lot longer than rose petals and lavender that take about 2.3 seconds. Now, because I was trying to use up all the ingredients that I had, and I had a lot of rose petals, I ended up using way more than 1/8 cup of rose petals. I used about a cup of rose petals. Grind all those ingredients up. I grind them up all separately because I do find they take different times to grind, and then I throw them all into a bowl and I add the clay. So the recipe that Rosemary Gladstar has created calls for 2 cups of white clay. I used a bentonite clay because that is what I could find, as I mentioned before, and I didn't have a full 2 cups. I had like 1 3/4 cups or something, 1.5 cups. That's fine. There is no magic in the specific amounts in this recipe. It really is whatever you find works for your skin and the ingredients that you want to use. Once you've put all of those things in a bowl, all you have to do is mix it all up, and then I use a funnel and a wooden spoon to sort of just scoop it, spoon it, put it into a mason jar. So this is my finished cleansing grains. You can see sort of all the like little rose petally things in there. So pretty. So that's the video. I hope you guys enjoyed this little tutorial on how I make cleansing grains. And I hope for those of you who were asking about it, it sort of satisfied your curiosity on what the recipe is. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you're all having a great day. Bye. Where did my phone go? Probably need that for this. The amount of times I set this down in a day and just can't find it is amazing. And by amazing, I mean concerning.